of special guests. First, we have a moderator in training, Annie, who's back in the corner. So one of the checklist items is participate in a workshop. So if she doesn't look familiar to your congregation, that's why, but I know you'll let her feel welcome. And then I have these people here. And I'm going to turn it over to my friend Teresa Crawford, who's going to explain why they're here, what they're going to do, and get some feedback from the group.
Yes, we are with WTTW Channel 11, and we are about in the middle of filming a short documentary on Marianne. We're doing 5 short documentaries on the theme of democracy, and all 5 different people who are fighting for democracy in their own way. They're all very different, and one of our characters is Marianne. So our focus is on her, but it's obviously important what she does, and you're an important part of what she does. And so that's why we have Mrs. Margaret and Kayla. And Kayla may have a microphone above you at some point if you're speaking, because we want to hear your feedback and your reactions to Marianne. So the big question is there anyone here who would rather not be on camera? So that please just raise your hand, feel totally comfortable to tell us no way. And then we will not have to leave. So we can, yeah. Oh yeah. No. Oh yeah. Don't. No. Oh.
They should go flip. It's past tense now.
Yes. Sorry. Oh, sorry about
Oh, that's okay. If somebody's that uncomfortable.
Yeah, if there's if anybody doesn't want to be filmed, we can definitely avoid filming.
yes, yeah. So sorry. I should have said that first, that if you don't want to be on camera, you absolutely do not need to be. We can absolutely film around you. Is there anyone else who feels uncomfortable?
Jamie was on around to people maybe ask. Sorry, I got these kids to do
No, that's
that.
okay.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. This is the 4th or 5th events we've filmed, and I can tell you they're very unintrusive, and we have had people that said, please don't film me, and they don't go anywhere near them, and even, take pictures of people to edit out. So they've been very, very respectful. I want to correct one thing. I'm kind of the central character, but really the theme is what does Braver Angels, how does Braver Angels contributing to democracy? So they're following me around to separate Braver Angels event. So I'm going to start with just thank you all for being here today. I'm really happy that you had the sermon on the TV so I could listen to it. And so this blends right into the sermon that was delivered today. It's like, what can we do as citizens to learn to, talk better together, listen to each other, engage together. We're not going to get into the part about engaging together, but that is a big part of Braver Angels, is something we call citizen-led solutions. It says, like, how can we work together on civic projects? But we can't work together on civic projects unless we learn to talk to one another in a civil manner. So, and I wanted to always thank TJ for having us here. We really appreciate that, and we hope you learned something really valuable today. So with that, I'm gonna get started. So the workshop we're doing today is called Depolarizing Ourselves. So everybody have a participant guide. I just want to do a little housekeeping before we start out. Okay. So a question from the audience: how many of you have heard in the last week, 10 days or so, we just need to bring the temperature down? As expected. I kind of subtitle this class, how to bring the temperature down. So we talk about, polarization and so where to start depolarizing? Why is that not moving? Sorry. There we go. So we have a lot of trouble talking across the political divide, and we do have 2 workshops that do that. It's called Skills for Disagreeing Better, which we're going to do next week. So that is going to focus on how we talk to someone whose beliefs and opinions very much differ from our And then we have red-blue workshops, and there's also a common ground workshop, which we're probably gonna do one of these here, which is, getting equal number of, we call them blues and reds in Braver Angels, to pick a topic and learn how to constructively find points of agreement. But today, the focus now is how we talk with like-minded people. So, and about people on the other side. So we're gonna take a look at ourselves. We're gonna take a look at ourselves today and say, how are we contributing to polarization, ourselves? So this is gonna be a lot of self-reflection, and this is gonna get you ready to do that. How do I now leap into talking to people on the other side, which tends to be a lot more complex conversations. So in Braver Angels, what we're trying to stop, when we talk about polarization, when we talk about the other side, what we tend to do, those polarizing themes, are we end up stereotyping the other side, we dismiss them, we ridicule them, and we talk with contempt. And these came from, our founder is a marriage and family counselor. This is all based on marriage and family counseling. So it's like, if we can get families to talk together, we can also get people on the opposite sides of the spectrum to also civilly talk to one another. So a lot of what today is going to be about is how do we not stereotype, dismiss, ridicule, or show contempt to people who we don't agree with. Okay, so let's go over goals pretty quick. So first thing we're going to do is knowing your inner polarizer. We're going to do a little self-reflection exercise and just do a little exercise in humility on how polarized we are. How to counteract your inner polarizer. We're going to practice being critical productively. No one in Bright Angels will ever tell you, you just need to agree with the other side. No, you can be critical of the other side, but how do you do that productively, civilly, and with respect? And then the last thing we're going to do is understand ways to help other people depolarize. So when you hear somebody doing those things, the stereotyping, ridiculing, contempt, or dismissing, how to effectively, help bring the temperature down. Okay, and the agenda follows right through that. So we're going to start with the recognizing my inner polarizer, talk about strategies to counteract it. What is non-polarizing talk? Skills for depolarizing conversations. And then we'll do a final wrap up at the end, which is always my favorite, which is, what did you learn today? What are you taking away to practice? Okay, so let's start with, we're going to begin with a way for each of us to assess how polarized we are. And then we'll talk about how to change our inner polarizer and how to be critical without using those 4 nasty horsemen. So everybody have their worksheet handy. So it's right on the first page, so you don't even have to open anything. So we printed this out. So look at that part of your handout, and there's 6 questions. And I'm going to go through them kind of slowly, and I'll give you a second or two to pick your answer. So as you go through the questions, what you're going to answer is, do I do this often, sometimes, or never? I just heard a chuckle already. So somebody anticipated what these questions are going to be like. So good for you, and thank you. Okay, so let's start. Everybody have paper and pencil? Okay, so ask yourself, how often do I assume all those people all think the same way about everything? So is that often? Do I do that sometimes? Or do I do that never? And these are not being graded and nobody's judging, so we're asking you to be humble and honest. Okay, second question. How often do I assign good motives to my side and bad motives to the other side? Is that often, sometimes, or never? Next question. How often do I focus on the most extreme views of those on the other side? Do I do that often, sometimes, or never? Next question is, how often do I compare their worst people to our best people? That often, sometimes, or never. And how often do I get a rush out of criticisms from the other side? When you hear the other side get criticized, how much of a little adrenaline rush goes on in your brain? Okay, and then the last is the next slide. And hopefully you can all read it from there. Okay, which of the following is the closest to my overall emotional attitude towards the majority of people who support the other side? And this picture is also in your handout if you can't see it from there. So I'm just gonna kind of go around the arc here. Do I hate them? And remember, keep in mind that large swath of people, not your one neighbor that you know that's on the other side. So when you think of the big group of people who you think of as your political opposites. Is the predominant view hate, that they're enemies and out to destroy our country? Is it disdain? They're ignorant and should know better? Pity, they're well-meaning, but they're duped. Is it basic respect? They make a contribution even though they're mostly off base. And the last one is respect and appreciation. I think the other side make unique and necessary contributions. So just take a second and figure out where you think that large swath of people, the center of gravity is. Everybody got that answered? Okay, and I'm just gonna give you just one more minute. Look over, take a look at your answers. See if there's anything that jumps out at you. And I like to put it this way. Is there anything in there that caused a little yuck factor for you? Those are always sometimes the most important things to look at. So I'm just gonna give you like another, 30 seconds, go through your answers and give it a once over. What do you think? You learned about yourself, not the other side, what you learned about yourself when it comes to polarizing attitudes. Everybody got a thought in mind? Okay, so what we're gonna do next is put you in groups of, I think there's 3 is pretty close. They've tried to find a group of 3. See if you can, when you're getting into a group of 3, don't move quite yet, but when you're getting into a group of 3, if you can partner up with somebody that you didn't come with or you don't know as well, sometimes that helps with the conversation. And what we're gonna start with is, give your name and where you live. Now, a lot of you know each other already, so you don't have to do that, but just hi, and if you don't, you can try to find somebody that you don't know. And you're gonna keep the same groups. We're gonna do 3 or 4 breakout exercises, so we're gonna keep our same group consistent. Kind of give a summary of, as you went through this self-assessment, where you landed, and also something that maybe you learned about yourself. So, and when we do these groups, we like to say, the goal here is also to practice your listening. So, you're gonna have like a minute and a half. I'm gonna give you 5 minutes. We're gonna have about a minute and a half apiece. Practice listening to the other person. Don't get into crosstalk or cut them off in the middle and go, oh yeah, me too. Really listen to what the other person has to say. And then maybe you don't have to take a minute and a half if you have extra time left over. Then compare notes, but practice that listening as you're doing that. And don't hog time. I know we're all nice. If somebody takes 4.5 minutes, be aware that your other partners want to talk. And then I said at the end, if you want to discuss your commonalities and differences at the end, if you have time. And then share your thoughts. Don't try to reach a consensus. Don't just like, oh yeah, well, we landed on everybody feels this way. It's perfectly okay to have very different points of view on this. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is ask you to break into groups. Once you get into a group, I'll hit the timer for 5 minutes. And you'll have 5 minutes to talk amongst yourself. And then we will come back and we'll kind of share notes. So get into your group. And when I see you form a group.
Well, we're not supposed to.